my mum and my dad decided that if necessary they would remortgage their house for me to be able to do this, because they thought it was such a positive thing that I could do for the animals, and it was making it extremely miserable to miss an opportunity which I thought would benefit them. So it's been a bit of a last minute thing. I've already run the Europe leg, the Australian leg, which was always going to be a very big ask, and the Asian leg, which I did in Omsk in Siberia, and I've run 3 marathons in 6 weeks, and despite the fact that I'm not actually racing these races because I've really paced myself, I've come placed in them all, and I've run them all on the London Marathon Championship qualifying time, and that's 3 marathons in 6 weeks. So, and I'm not even finishing tired. So that is what I'm trying to do, just to show that, you know, it's not just going to a continent and getting round the marathon. I want to show that I can be competitive, no matter how much time span I've got, because my diet is superior, I suppose, or it's least worth giving a look at. And I'm hoping that what I'm doing is encouraging people to think, well, hang on a minute, she can avoid jet lag, she can travel to Australia, she can get on a plane, she can come straight home, she can care for 400 animals. Well, what is her secret then? Oh, hang on a minute, look, she's a vegan, perhaps there is something in that. Because the most people that I've found, much as they might say they love animals, they care about them, and they love their cat and their dog and their horse and whatever, they love their food more. And unless you give them a reason to want to benefit themselves that will benefit them, the majority of people aren't going to, what they see is take the sacrifice of avoiding the things they enjoy eating. Because a lot of people's life is to revolve around food. And so to actually cut out a lot of what they enjoy is going to be a big ask for them, unless they feel they're getting some payback themselves. So I'm just trying to prove that, you know, it is beneficial. You can perhaps run like me, or have my endurance, or my zest for life, or whatever, if you considered the option that I've taken all my life. Another important thing is that I have been vegan since I was 6 years old, so that's nearly 40 years, and it's the longevity of it. I don't like these kind of things that you get in the paper, you know, some celebrity will say, ooh, I went vegan and it nearly killed me, or my skin started dropping off when I went vegan. Any diet can be managed improperly or properly, and there's absolutely no reason that a lifelong vegan diet cannot be the most wonderful thing and beneficial, and it's not prohibitive in any way to any sort of performance issues or anything like that. So that's been a kind of another motivation to what I'm doing. But I have to say, and it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but at the end of the day, the only motivation I honestly need is thinking about helping the animals, any animal that I might be helping by doing what I'm doing. The current challenge, I go to America on Friday to run in Atlantic City. I come back, I run in Casablanca the fortnight after, and then I have to go to Chile and run in a volcano, and then go to Antarctica. I don't like, not a live volcano, I'm not expecting it to run. But I'm not looking forward to it, I'm not particularly enjoying it. I don't particularly enjoy running at all. But I figure that it is benefiting the animals, and I'm starting to get a little bit of mainstream publicity. Okay, everybody laughs about it, you know, Woman's Own and Top Santé and magazines like that, but it is hitting the market that I want to get to, the general public. Because everybody here is kind of converted and we know why we're here, but they don't, and it's just an interesting story for them. It might make them go away and think, oh, you know, there is something in that woman in that article I read about, and these are the kind of magazines that get passed around, people do discuss, so hopefully the message is getting out, and each time I run a marathon, the publicity thing is growing. America have always said that they want to do a press conference with me there, talking about veganism, so I do hope that it is benefiting the, to use a better phrase, voiceless animals, because the ones at my sanctuary are safe, they're always going to be safe, I'm always going to look after them, and I'm always going to love them. But there are only 400 there, that's all I can look after. I can't do anything for the ones that are stuck in a factory farm or a cage or some atrocious place. I can't do anything but do this to help them. And that's why I've always tried to do, I suppose, off-the-wall things like sector, and it's given me that opportunity to say, actually, I can't use that because I'm a vegan, or I can't, eat that product. And it's given another angle of, a group of people that probably wouldn't normally have to consider veganism, like the fire service, have had to think about my needs as equal needs. And that's always been quite important to me, to just introduce in a kind of soft-besotted way the fact that I do believe, as much as some people have religious beliefs, this is the belief that I've always carried, that it is wrong to harm any creature on this earth, and especially for your own benefit, or for your own desires, or you like it, or you think it's alright. So that's why I'd say packing my way through these marathons all around the world at the moment, and trying to fit in caring for the sanctuary animals as well, because another problem I've got with the recovery and what I'm doing is I'm not just running a marathon at the other side of the world, I'm literally having to come home, get in the front door and let the parson or Martin go to work so that I can then look after the animals and take over from him, because he's working around the time schedule of holidays. So it is quite a stressful and strenuous regime, but as I say, I will be glad when it's over, but if I can bring a world record home for the animals on the 22nd of November, then I shall be more than delighted, I have to say. It'll all be worth it. And I can say that I do influence people. I do say I'm very proud that one of the guys that I share the tent with in the Marathon of Sables has gone vegan, and actively promoted the fact that he's gone vegan after seeing me running that race, sharing the tent with me, and listening to what I've got to say. And also, in that particular race, which is 7 days in the Sahara Desert, self-sufficiency, you carry your own supplies, they do allow people to send you messages of support. read it at all. But when I did the marathon in Sables, literally there aren't daylight hours to care for the animals. So I figured, right, if you want to run, when do you run? You run in the middle of the night, so you get yourself a head torch. And so midnight on Christmas Day, I'd be going out with my head torch on and my tinsel in the air, trying to make light of the situation, which is pretty grotesque, and doing 4 hours of running. And that's what you've got to do. And I always say to somebody, if you want to do something badly enough, generally speaking, you will find the time to do it. And I do want to do this badly enough, but I'm not selfish enough to want to do it badly enough for myself. I purely want to do it to do something proactive, positive for animals. So that is basically me. If anybody wants to ask me a question or anything specific about what I do, I'd be happy to answer anything. So I'll take it ladies first. Volunteers at the sanctuary, we do have work parties at the sanctuary that can come if we've got a big project like hay collecting and stuff like that. Volunteers is quite complicated. Unless they're going to be very regular and really get to know the animals very well, it is quite difficult because some of the animals are so badly abused, they're very, very nervous of visiting strangers, especially some of the dogs. For instance, one of the dogs I took, she'd been used for baiting, and the previous people who had her had removed her teeth with a set of pliers, top teeth so she couldn't ride back, and they just left her with just pull the teeth out, and she is very, very nervous of having anyone else but Martin and I around. So we do have kind of group work parties where people can come for a specific project, but one-to-one with the animals is very difficult because you've really got to get to know the animals, and the continuity of care and the trust that it takes the ages to build up with them, it's very hard to pass over. So yeah, work parties, yeah, but regular volunteers I don't have any. Plus, to be quite 100% truthful with you, I live in a very farming orientated community, and most people just think I'm a fruit and nut, to be honest with you, so I just get on and do it on my own. Miles a week. If I want a quick marathon, I'll run probably 80 to 100 miles a week, but it's very rigid sessions, so that don't ask me if you ask me what day it was, I probably couldn't tell you, but if you ask me what is the day, and I can tell you it's 10 by 800 metre pushes at lunchtime and a long run in the evening, so I tend to work these 3 sprint sessions a week, 1 midweek longish run, 1 hill session, and 1 long run at weekends, and that tends to add to about 80 to 100 miles a week. My longest running week marathon to Sables, when I figured I'd just better get out there on my feet for a long time, was about 300 kilometres. And I had to do that. I did that round about Christmas time because Martin was off and he could cover the animals while I could go out for like 8 hours. But that is pretty tough. Yeah. Pardon? One core food that I would have. For marathon the Sables, I don't have these regularly, but pine nuts, Siberian pine nuts, and one thing that I've found beneficial in the long distance races when you've got to check what you've got in your pack because you've got to carry it, there were Marbella bars. and she's here to show us all. And I'm thinking, when I got back to the hotel room, I thought, blimey, if they're saying you're strong in Siberia, you're really, there's anything tough there. But it was overwhelming. I mean, every minute I was there. And one of the most memorable things about that race was, when I arrived in Siberia, a vegetarian girl contacted me. She lived in Oms, and she said if there would be any chance we could meet up, that would be the most amazing thing. And I said, yeah, of course. And she said, look, I helped at a dog rescue, and that's where I wanted to go. I mean, I just wanted to be there. And I went down there for about 2 hours and saw the wonderful work that they do. Very primitive, like myself almost, but the passion and the care and the love. And they said when I left, we know you're going to a running conference tomorrow, a press conference, but if there's any way you can mention the dog sanctuary. And of course it was like, oh, the running, why are you here inside? I mean, it's dog sanctuary. And they were so overwhelmed with what I've done. It got them all over Russian media, Russian news. It got loads of interviews, and I was so proud of being able to do that. Another thing that really pleased me is, in Siberia in particular, there aren't too many vegetarians and vegans. Yet the ones that were running that race or had come to see me run were absolutely overwhelmed that they, not because it's me and I'm there, but somebody had come with a vegan top on so that then they could tell their parents or partners or family or friends or whatever, but it won't kill me because she has come and done it. And one lady came to me, she said, it means so much because you're not doing it in America, you're doing it here, where I live amongst my friends. And they make such an effort. I mean, little Percy goes everywhere, he's a rice and everything. And school kids
What's the best way we can support the sanctuary?
Pardon?
What's the best way that we can support the sanctuary?
To be honest with you, I know it sounds brutal and everybody thinks everybody's after money, but it's money. It's like spreading it around Facebook, donate, because the bills are huge. They're enormous. They're just so massive. At the end of the day, I know before I can do anything, I have to have £10,000 ready to pay for the bills for the animals I care for. That's not including our bills, obviously. I mean, Martin's salary goes to take the mortgage for the place where they live, and everything else then goes to the animals. Everything my mum's got has always gone to the animals, and everything I can earn. And it is about finances. Sometimes people think when organisations ask for finance, oh, the money grabbers. It's not for me. I mean, I wouldn't care if anybody never gave me a penny piece in my hand if they want to pay the feed merchant, if they want to bake us some hay. That's fine, because we don't take an income off that. Everything we've got goes into it. It's just that to rescue on the scale that I'm being asked to rescue, and I'm getting phone calls every minute of the day and night. I can't do it without finance. As much as I'd like to pay the feed merchant with love and kisses and, you know, best wishes, he wants his money, and I've got to find it. So it's all about finance, unfortunately. It's just a brutal world, and that's the truth of it.
The website.
Pardon?
Website.
The web, well, funnily enough, you should say that, but oh, look what I've got here. A load of forms, and look, standing orders on the back, and there's information about the sanctuary on this form here, which Martin has printed out. So if anyone would like one, you're perfectly welcome to have one. Even if you want to just colour it, you can colour out my face or something. But no, that is, you know, the best way to do it. Or, you know, as I say, just word of mouth, or just raise funds if you can, you know, like for a jumble sale or anything like that, because it is just about funds, unfortunately. Well, thank you very much. Nice words. Oh yeah, there is obviously when I started to do this North Pole, this challenge, the World Record Challenge, I didn't really know how much it was going to cost, or it was very, very hard to evaluate. And I think if I'd have been honest with myself, I wouldn't have actually tackled it. But I kind of kidded myself, oh, I can get an economy flight to Australia for £600. You know, I use all that kind of thing just to kind of fool myself into saying, yes, I'm going to do it. But it is obviously costing an awful lot of money. But a very kind lady in France, very elderly lady, I wrote to her and I just told her what I was doing, and after a few letters back and forth, she's lifelong vegan, she said, yes, I'd like to help. And up to the value of £10,000, she's going to, if something is £1, she'll do £2 to help me do this. Because she said, as a lifelong vegan herself, at 87 years old, she doesn't think there's been a much better opportunity of trying to push not just women's, you know, a woman, but a vegan woman out there in a positive way, you know, a way that a lot of people have got very short memories. They don't think about things very deeply. So a lot of people know that running a marathon is hard. And to say you're going to run a marathon on every continent, and you're going to do it as a vegan woman, and you've been to the North Pole, you've been all the men are too, she thinks that's the magnificent way of saying, you know, this is what you can do. So she's willing to double anything anybody chooses to give. So if you decide to donate £1, in effect, I'll get 3 to continue with this challenge. So that's a really, really amazing thing. And it has actually been a real lifesaver, because obviously there are a lot of hidden costs in doing this, you know, visas, lots and lots of things that I probably didn't want to think about at the start, because it would have put me off. I just thought, no way can I even think about doing this. Because unfortunately, with these extreme events, you get a lot of people out there with an awful lot of money that instead of having a Ferrari, they just travel around the world with loads and loads of money for the next extreme, ridiculous thing they can do. And that's obviously not me. People have said to me, how long are you going to carry on doing this? And I will only carry on as long as I think it's benefiting the animals in some way. After that, I'll just do something else, because I'm really not doing it for some adrenaline kick for myself, because it's just not like that at all. It's not what I would choose to be doing, particularly at this present time. When I'm away from the sanctuary, I go through absolute hell with worry, and also it gives me a great opportunity once, and the car pulled next to a pig transporter, and they were just all in there, squashed up together, and I could have literally leaned down and touched them, and there was nothing I could do. And living in a farming community, we have the chicken sheds emptied regularly, and they go past the house. And one day I got in the car and it was going in the same direction, and I followed it, and I don't know why I followed it, and it stopped at a shop, and the driver got out and went in. And I sat behind it, and I said, what are you thinking? What can you do? You can't do anything. You can't do anything. And sitting there, just thinking, I cannot physically do anything to help those chickens, apart from watch them go to die. It made me absolutely revolted at myself and appalled, and it's a horrible feeling to feel that you can't do anything, your hands are tied. And so that is why, honestly, that I'm doing this, and I'm forging on, and I'm, everybody knows that I've got this knee problem. I am in a lot of pain all the time I'm running, and I've got an appalling running action that people say, oh, I know where you're coming, oh, it's pity leg, because it goes all over the place. But whatever pain I'm in, it can stop at any time, and it certainly isn't anything like the pain they're in. And that's what drives me on, honestly. It certainly isn't a love of running or a kind of, desire to do this. It's just, I feel there is a need for everybody to do what they can, so I'm just doing what I can. And unfortunately, it's not enough, it's not very much at all, but it's the best I can do. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to lecture to anybody, I'm not trying to grab people's money, I'm not trying to tell them what to think and say. I'm just saying this is what I feel. And I know there are other people out there that feel the same, but there's many that don't know, unfortunately. That's a sad thing. Anyway, so anybody else got another question? I've run out of talk, which is something I don't often do, but I have run out. Yeah. Pardon? I'm not qualified in animal care. No. I mean, the only qualifications I've got are that I've had them for so long. I've literally, I've learned by experience. I mean, I come from a typical kind of pony mad, animal mad background to just learning along the way. I don't think I've ever not had animals. I did at one point think about, I want to be a vet, but with the illness that I had when I was in my teenage years, I lost 3 probably years of schooling to this problem that I've got with my knee, which has been very traumatic, and I came away with only O levels, and so then I had to decide what am I going to do. Just got a normal job and started to help animals through like funding other organisations and doing sport and rescuing a few, and that's when I met the partner who set up the sanctuary. We've just got animals everywhere on a small bungalow where he lived, and one of the horses had a bad accident at a livery yard, and we said we can't do this anymore, we've either got to set up something formal or not do it at all. And that's when I gave my job up and moved out to the sanctuary, and he carries on working to pay for it. And to be fair to Martin, he has to work really, really long hours in a job he hates to get the kind of money in that we need for the animals. And he's very good because all his holiday has had to go on me being away to go to the running. So literally it's like a tag team. He gets home the night before I go, and I set off, and the minute I get back he goes to work. I hardly ever see him. I mean, people ask, well, this silly woman from Top Sante, well, how do you relax? I'm thinking, what? I can't even spell it, let alone do it. And, to go out for meals together, chill time alone. I'm thinking we're talking on a completely, topic here. We've never been out for a meal together. We've never actually been out anywhere together. He's there, I'm off doing what I'm doing, or he's at work and I'm at sanctuary, and that's the way it works. That's the only way it can work. To actually do the amount I'm doing. I mean, people say, oh, what's the secret of your success? It's just hard graft. I mean, there's nothing more to it. I mean, it's really hard, heavy work. And when you factor in things like, doing all the training and fetching 2,000 bale of hay in a rickety old van that only carries 48 at a time, after work, till probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night in the summer, it really is tough. But as I say, I will stand by what I've said. I'm fortunate enough to be healthy enough and fit enough to be able to do it and have the opportunity to do it. And I will always do that. I'll never waver in what I'm doing or what I'm thinking. my house. They might come to me very nervous and very disturbed, but none of them are aggressive to each other. Because at the end of the day, a dog is a pack animal, and they see you as their pack leader. And if you are encouraging them in the path of kindness and you're not expecting them to bark, growl, whatever these awful people expect their dogs to do, they want to please you. And if the only way they can please you is by being aggressive or walking around all natural or biting something, that's probably what they'll do. If they can only please you by being all cuddly and jumping on your bed at night, that's what they prefer to do. So dogs, I mean, the police have brought dogs to me before now, quite honestly. Dogs that we found in houses, protecting drug stashes, and they'll say, we know it's going to get put down. Do you think you can care for it? You have it. I tend to take farm animals. I will always try and help pigs because I think they get one of the record deals, along the way. I'm getting asked to take an awful lot of horses. Everybody knows I'm a big horse person. I don't know what it is, but they've always been in my blood, horses. The problem I've got there, though, is you're taking a lot of... I'm not a horsey person in terms of a typical horsey person. I'm a person with horses. And a lot of the time, the horsey people will just want to get filled with factories, discarding their old animal without... they want rid of it, but they won't want it on the conscience. I've got 60 horses at the moment to look after. I've got a lot of cattle, a lot of sheep, but I do tend to try and take the animals that I can take, which I'm liberating from the food chain. So if I'm asked to help some pigs that have come out of the pig farm, we had one pig that was from Rhino Pig Farm, and when the pig farm burned down, she was left very, very badly burned, and her tail had melted to her body, and her ears had melted to her body. And for some bizarre reason, the farmer that owned that farm did not want her to go to slaughter, as all these other pigs had gone. And he asked me if I would take her, and I did. Because I thought, well, for whatever reason you're asking me, so I'm not going to turn her away. There's a cattle farmer up the road who, he's a dairy farmer, and if he's got a disabled calf, he'll ask me if I'll take it, and I will. Because at the end of the day, I'm helping the calf, I'm not interested in him. I'll say what I've got to say, and I'll do what I've got to do to get that animal out and give it a good life. So I always tend to focus on farm animals if I can. But honestly speaking, it's getting to a point now of absolute saturation. You've not just got the fact that people don't want their animals anymore, you've come to the fact that people can't afford them. And they say, I cannot afford to keep it. What do I do? And of course, the large organisations have telephonists that answer the phone and recite a policy down the phone. I don't. I mean, I've got to deal with it in my own mind. And I must admit, sometimes when I come home and Martin gets home at 9, I'll tell him I've got a little surprise. If he might be on the back garden needs to shire horse, he will get a bit cross. But yesterday morning, I could hear him on his mobile phone, and all I could hear was, yes, okay. Well, you can bring it at 7:30 on Tuesday night when I'm home. And I'm thinking, what are you up to? And he said, I said, what was that? And he said, some man, he said, I can't go into specifics, but he can't keep his elderly cat anymore. I said, oh, so, you see now, it's not so easy when you're asked, is it? But, yeah, so I do my best